Hi everyone, just doing a quick makeup tutorial for those that haven't done it before or would like to try their hand of their own. As you can see, I've already done my hair. That's a whole other video, so go and watch that if you're interested in the hair side as well. Now the most common statement I get from everybody is, I can't wear makeup like that, it looks ridiculous. Number one, no it doesn't. Everybody is stunning and everybody can do this makeup to suit their face. Okay? The second comment I get is that they just don't know how to do it like I do. Well, let's give it a crack, shall we? Okay, so I'm going to go through step by step what I do. I will point out what is suitable for a teenager versus a lady and the difference between the makeup that we do there. The main thing that will change what you do to your skin is your skin. So if you have sensitive skin, there might be steps that you need to skip, or there will be ones that will be imperative to you so that you don't break out from the reactions that you might have from your products. Now I'm going to say this right from the bat, I do not spend obscene amounts of money on makeup. My makeup is reasonably cheap. I have a lot of it, so I've spent a lot of money, but I haven't spent a lot on one particular item. I've only bought reasonably priced products, and that's because I have very good skin. Thanks, Louise. Love that. I have very good skin and it doesn't react to anything. If you have good skin and you don't react, there is no reason to spend an extensive amount of money on your skincare or on your makeup. If you have sensitive skin, you will have to look around to see what works for you, and everybody's skin is different. What I suggest is building up with a brand that you know and then sticking to it. My brand is ColourPop. Everything I have is ColourPop. Even my skincare comes from their sister brands. All right, let's get into it. So my first step is always my eyebrows, and it's best to do that before you've done any skincare, any moisturizer, or any foundation. It will grip to it and it'll make them stay still. Now, a lot of people say, I don't want big gross eyebrows. You don't need to have them, but you do need to have eyebrows that stand out on your face. They are like curtains. If you don't have them, it does look very empty. So you have two options. You can use a brow pencil, or you can use a brow gel. I use both, but that's because I am very dark haired naturally. I know there's a bit of blonde going on, but I am naturally dark haired. So it will depend on what you like to do compared to what your skin tone is, what your hair color is, how much eyebrows you pulled out in the 90s. It's all a thing. Okay, so you have brow pencils and you have brow gel. Both work beautifully. You can also go see Mel Jones, get them tinted, and then you will really only need the gel just to hold them in place. You won't need them for color. So you can get clear gels. Okay, what I do with my eyebrows, and this is just a little brow pencil. I'm working with two mirrors here, so forgive me. But what I do first is take my pencil right under the bottom of my eyebrow and I shape it out where I'd like my eyebrow to be. Now I'm not using a very heavy hand. I'm just getting that definition underneath my eyebrow, especially on this inner corner. So if you have a look at the difference between the two, I am also working with two lights, so apologies for that. I'll do what I can. Okay, so there's just a little bit of definition under this eyebrow as opposed to this one where there's a little bit less. On a floor, not a huge deal. On a stage, massive, massive difference. Okay, so that line underneath my eyebrow, take that right out to my edge, check that I like the shape, yep, happy with it, and then I take, broke my pencil, whoops. Okay, and then I take the pencil onto the top of my eyebrows and just define that upper shape. Okay, so as you can see, I haven't done a whole lot. I haven't used a heavy hand, but this eyebrow compared to this eyebrow, so much more defined. Lovely, we love it. Okay, so once I've got those two bits there, I've got a nice tail defined on the end. I can fill that in a little bit, and my line underneath, I take the spoolie end, this guy, and I use that to brush the product through. I'm not going to draw individual brow hairs. I don't have time for that and I don't need it. Okay, if you have darker hair but lighter eyebrows, you might need to spend some time drawing upwards with the pencil just to give yourself a little more color, or use a brow gel, which is what I will do in a moment. Okay, so I'm going to use my spoolie and I'm going to use that to brush up through my brows. So you can see that line diffused, but it didn't go away. Sorry, my light's playing up. Okay, so I diffuse that line. It's not quite so sharp, but it hasn't gone away. It's still very defined compared to my other eyebrow. Okay, really little change, but it does make a difference. Okay, then I take my brow gel. Mine is colored because I don't want to draw the individual brow lines with the pencil. Okay, so it's just a little brow gel. It's hard to do without giving a shadow. I do apologize. Okay, and just run that through. So this is a dark brown, because my hair is dark brown. Obviously you would use a lighter one if your hair is lighter, or a darker one if it's darker. So if we have a look at my two eyebrows there, not a huge difference. I have done it for a floor. I'll try it. What's happening here? There we go. So not a huge difference between the two brows, but enough that this is very defined and draws attention to my eyes, which is great. We love that. Okay, I'm just gonna quickly do the other one and then we'll come back. Okay, we're back. I have two eyebrows. They're pretty well even. They're sisters, we're all good. Okay, what I'm gonna do is take some concealer and I'm gonna take an eyebrow brush. Now these are quite rare in terms of a shape. Excuse me. Can we see? There we go. These are quite rare in the shape for an eyebrow brush. You don't have to use this kind of brush. You can also use a flat brush like this. That will help you do exactly the same thing. So either one of those or an eyebrow sculptor, both will work. Okay, I'm not suggesting you spend $1 million on brushes either. Okay, so just a little bit of concealer on my brush. Now this will be very white because this is my summer concealer. Obviously when I have a tan, I will use a darker one. So I have a Physi concealer and a home concealer, but I'm not tanned yet, so here we are. Okay, I'm gonna take the brush and I'm gonna put it just under my eyebrows. Okay, as I said, it is very white, don't be alarmed, yours doesn't have to be. Okay, right under that brow line and making the shape that I want my eyebrows to be. This is also very helpful if you haven't had your wax done in a while. Sorry, Mel. Okay, just drawing down the product from your eyebrow and you can see that beautiful definition underneath where I've done my colouring previously. Okay, I will blend that in to my eyelid, which we will use in a moment for our eyeshadow. Okay, so again, just a little bit on the brush, not a whole lot, just enough to get that beautiful line underneath our eyebrow. Using our brush, just a gentle sculpt underneath our eyebrow and bringing that product down. Now if you've got a little bit too much, don't stress, just keep bringing it down. Ooh, if you do what I just did and draw into your eyebrow, so you can see there I've drawn into where I've already coloured, don't stress, brow gel, pull it back out and just brush that through that section. Okay, gone, easy, done. Okay, you can see that's gone away. You can also use just a spoolie for that, the edge that I brushed with the pencil. That will do the same thing. Okay, bringing that product down. We're gonna put concealer on our eyelids anyway, so don't stress if you've got a little bit too much. It'll all come out in the wash. Okay, so there's my current eyebrows. I know it looks weird, roll with me. I will take a concealer buffer. Again, you don't have to use this particular brush, any brush will work. Okay, I'm gonna use that to just spread the concealer that's already on my eyelids a bit more evenly. So you can see I'm taking that product where it was a little bit heavy and bringing that down onto my eyelid. Now on this side where I don't have as much, I will need to get a little bit extra concealer, not an issue. Just a tiny bit on the eyelid. And what this does is create a barrier between your eyelids, which are very oily, and your makeup. So it will make it stay on a little better. Now, if you're an incredibly sweaty human like me, this does work. It helps to keep it on your eyes a little bit longer. If you're a little oily, you might want to look into an eyelid primer rather than a concealer because concealers are oil-based. Okay, so we're spreading that concealer, and if I take a little step back, it's not as dramatic as you think it is, especially compared to when you look at it up nice and close. Like nice and close, it's gonna look more dramatic. But the further back I go, it just defines my eyes and you can see what's going on my face. Now we start to look at our skincare to make sure our skin for the rest of our face is ready for the makeup that we're about to put onto it. Now, if you're one of my young ones or you have naturally wonderful skin, all you will need is a moisturizer. Okay, you won't need an expensive primer, you won't need any other products to kind of help you out. So if you are developing some acne on your skin or if you have some acne scars, you might look into a sticky primer. I don't have exact brands for that, I'm sorry, but a thicker one, a gel-based primer will probably work better because it will fill in some of the spaces and kind of even out your texture a little bit. If you are getting a little bit dark under the eyes like I do, I would suggest a brightening moisturizer. I have one that looks like this. Hey, anything that has turmeric in it or a little bit of anything that says brightening on it really, that will lift some of that darkness under your eyes, as well as give you that moisturizing touch. So I use that first, and this will bring out, well, it'll calm down any of that darkness and kind of lighten it up. There's some other tricks for that I'll show you. Okay, I also go in and use a hyaluronic serum. Okay, this is the one I use. There's a million of them on the market. This soaks into your skin with your moisturizer. Probably should have put this on first. It'll be right. It helps everything soak into your skin before you put your moisturizer on. So just a tiny little bit on your hands and rub that into your skin. Okay, it doesn't take much, but it soaks the moisturizer into your skin so that the makeup doesn't soak into your skin. It sits on top of it. So if you're a sensitive skin girly, having a primer or a hyaluronic serum along with your moisturizer will make it so much easier for you to put makeup on and not react to it. Okay, it doesn't feel like you have makeup soaking into your skin because your skin's already soaked up that goodness from your moisturizer. Okay, I put that on now to let it dry and sink in before I start doing my foundation. So I will go ahead and do my eyes in a moment. Okay, if you have any red spots on your skin that you'd like to conceal, I have a couple that may not show up on camera, but I can see them up on my cheeks. This is the time to cover them. Okay, so you want the concealer, again, this will be very light. It's my summer one. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit wherever I need it to go. Okay, just a little couple of spots that are a little bit red for my liking. Now we don't want to blend it, we want to just make sure that it's not poking up. So we don't want to blend it in with our skin, we still want it to be very white. I'll show you why in a second. And we're going to let that dry while I do my eyeshadow. Okay, we want that to completely dry down before I even touch foundation. All right, eyeshadow. Let's work on to eyeshadow. This is the order that I do everything in, by the way. Okay, I have my trusty brown palette. Again, it's my Colourpop brand. I love it. Doesn't have to be any other brand. It can be just this. Okay, these are the colors. There used to be a white glitter, but I broke it. It's sad, I know. Okay, but these are my lovely browns. They're very neutral. They work on every skin color. It's the one that I bring to Physi with me every year. Okay, so I'm going to take this sort of lightish brown. It looks like just a slightly deepened skin color, and that's what I will use all over my eyelid. Okay. Now when I obviously when I'm not tan, you can see it a lot more. Okay, so it doesn't come out this dark when I am tan. Okay, so it's a lighter brown color, and what it does on top of the concealer is just kind of set it so that you've got a base color to work with that isn't your concealer color. So because my concealer is quite white, I'm going quite heavy on this particular color, but if you haven't got an overly dark concealer, you won't have to go this dark. Okay. Another key point, any of these palettes, if you tap, sorry, you can't see what I'm doing. If you are gathering color, just give them a quick on the top. That will get rid of excess, which is often why people say it's all blotchy and it doesn't blend properly. Okay, just get rid of some of the excess off the top. Okay. Another reason people say that they can't get it to blend properly is because they're using the wrong kind of brush. Okay, it does sound a little bougie when you say, oh, you need a million brushes. You don't need a million, you just need the right ones. Okay, so you can see I'm going all over my eyelid, right up to my brow bone, just to get onto that concealer and give me a nice base ready for my eyeshadow. So when I say the right brush, this kind of, you can't see that, there we go, this kind of little fluffy situation, so all that movement is what you want to blend. If you have a brush that looks, where's my light, there it is, that looks like this, it's a little bit more, ooh, that's fun. It's a little bit more compact. It won't blend as well. It'll do a great job getting the color onto your eyelids, but it won't move it around. If you use an even tighter brush, like one I suggested for your eyebrows, all that will do is put color on, it will not move it around. I said you don't have to spend money on makeup, you don't. But if you use the little sponge applicators that come in the eyeshadows, they're not gonna do a damn thing. Okay, get rid of those, throw them out. You only need some cheap brushes, you need a fluffy one, and you need really nothing else. If you have a fluffy one, you can get away with most things. Okay, so using our fluffy brush, I have several brushes. I'm only going to use the one today because I'm lazy, but usually I would swap between different brushes. Okay, so I've done my whole, that mirror's not going to go well. I've done my whole eyelid in this color here. Now these two colors, they look pretty similar, but this one's a little bit darker. I'm going to do this one first. Okay. Again, tapping my edge, and I'm going to put that right on the corner, so right there, on my eye. Okay, so when I'm staring in the mirror, it's right in that corner, just above my eyelashes, in the crease. If I poke a little too hard, it will go into my eye. Okay, so we're just tapping that colour right in here. Okay, and you only want to put it on until you can see it. Okay, so we're just sitting in that spot. And because I have this bright yellow light in front of me, it will take longer for me to see it. So this is the difference between stage makeup and floor makeup. If to go on the floor, I wouldn't have this here at all, but my lighting in my bathroom is shocking, so you can't really see what I'm doing. But you can see that that is already showing up that darker color, as opposed to when I put my light back on it, it doesn't show up as much. Okay, so that's the difference between stage makeup and floor makeup. Depending on the light that you have, always check what kind of lighting you're gonna have before you start doing your face. Okay, so I can just see that in my mirror that's in front of me. It's not quite as easy to see it in the camera, sorry, but I'll see if I can get some shots of it as we go on. And I'll do the other eye real quick. Once you've done one eye, you can generally get a general feel for how much you need to put in that eye crease. But until you've done the first eye, you don't really know what's going on. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of this, see if it makes it a little bit easier to see what I'm doing. Okay, so we've just got that little bit of darkness on our outer corner. Okay, with my colors, I'm gonna go into my darker one, just slightly darker. This is usually where I change brushes to go a little bit smaller, just so I'm not putting quite so much on, okay? So smaller amount of color, and I'm gonna put it exactly in the same spot, but I'm not gonna travel my brush at all. With the previous color, you would have seen I would dabbed it all the way around this corner space. This slightly darker one, I'm only putting it right in that corner. And again, just until you can see it. Okay, if you can see it straight away, well done. You've got a lot of product on your brush, or you've got a really pigmented eyeshadow. So just work slowly and work carefully. It's where a fluffy brush comes in handy because it doesn't put so much down quite as quickly. Okay. Putting that in there. So you'll see that I haven't done anything on this inner corner. In these inner parts of my eyes, I will do them, just not yet. Okay, I'm building the color on the outside. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So again, stage versus floor. Obviously this is a lot darker for floor. I probably wouldn't do that step if I know the room isn't going to be very light. So places like Blacktown, it's a bit darker when you're facing the stage, so I probably wouldn't do that darker eyeshadow. Depends on your floor. Make sure you know your rooms. Okay. Now that I've done those two, I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to go any darker because I don't think I need to. I think I've got it. I think I'm covered. On this inner section, you'll see up in this corner, I have a beautiful light color. Ooh, my bathroom's dirty, sorry. There's this lighter color up here. That's what we want to use on this inside corner. Okay, so we're going to, again, I should change brushes. I have a brush cleaner down here, so I'm not going to bother, but I should be changing colors between brushes or cleaning my brush in between. Okay. Taking our light color, getting it on that brush and throwing it in the middle. Now this will appear in your mirror. You'll see it a lot quicker than the dark ones. That doesn't make any sense, but it's how it is. Your light color will always show up. Okay, so I'm lightening that inner side of my eye. It's almost white, but you can see comparatively between the two, like a massive difference, huge difference. If I come in a little bit closer, you should be able to see that it kind of doesn't blend properly. Oop, you can't see anything. Okay, if I come up a little bit closer, you might see that it doesn't really blend when I put that lighter color on top. It's fine, we'll fix it. Okay, so just to blend that, if you find that it's not blending like it should, just keep running the brush backwards and forwards. Okay, so you run it from the darker side in and then to the lighter side out, and that will blend that color through. Okay, we'll do the other eye. Chuck that on. Now, I'm not being precise. I'm not a makeup artist. And at the end of the day, they're not that close to see the detail anyway. What we're trying to do is create a face that can be seen from the stage by the judges that draws attention to all our goodness without overpowering our natural looks. Okay, so that white part in the middle, if I take a few steps back, you can see that dramatically changes how my eyes lift. Okay, so if you're a glitter girly, now would be the time to add shimmer just to that inside. Again, this depends on a couple of things. Number one, whether or not you like glitter. It's not necessary, but it's pretty. It also depends on things like the color and the style of your leotard. If you have a leotard with a lot of bling, then it's a good idea. If you do have a leotard that has a little less bling, then maybe a little less glitter is probably a good idea. So I'm wearing pink on the weekend, so I'm going to use my, well, it's a peach palette, but the pink in it's really pretty. And I've got this pink glittery color here. You can't really see it, but that's fine. And I'm going to use that. So this is where you want your tighter brushes. So I was showing you this one before. This is your tighter, more compact brush. You want those for glitter. Okay, so if I put that just on the very inside of my eye. Okay, again, I don't know how much of this will show up on the camera, but in person it's pretty. Okay, just a very small amount on that inner corner, wherever you want it. Okay, now I'm not suggesting that if you're wearing a blue leotard that you put bright blue glitter in your eyeballs. That doesn't sound like a good time. Okay, but if you want to put glitter and you're wearing a darker color, you can always find a pink or a peach or a silver or a gold glitter that will complement your uniform. Okay, please don't put bright blue glitter on your eyes. Okay, all right, I'm happy with that. So there's a little bit of shimmer, beautiful blend of colors. And there's more eyeshadow than what you'd expect to be on there, but it really doesn't look like it, especially on a stage. So let's take our light away, let the camera sort its life out. If I bring this nice and close, you should be able to see what's going on here. Okay. Now in this process, I have dropped a lot of eyeshadow under my eye. That's why we don't do foundation, folks. Okay, we wait for that. Okay, so I can use a tissue, I can use a makeup wipe, I can use whatever I want really to just kind of get rid of under there. I wouldn't suggest, if you're going to use a makeup wipe, I wouldn't suggest doing it too harshly because it can leave some residue which will stop the foundation sticking to it. So a tissue or a cotton bud, something dry is usually best because it won't create a barrier and it won't remove your skincare either. Okay, so just a tissue is usually good. Cotton round, Q-tip, something like that. Okay, that's all cleaned up, we're good to go. Now at this point, this is where you make the decision on whether or not you're wearing lashes. Okay, I love a lash, so I will always wear a lash, but I also understand that some people can't wear them for sensory reasons or just they don't want to, which is absolutely fine. Okay, if you want help putting lashes on, come talk to me, I'll talk to you about that. I use magnetic lashes, so I have a magnetic liner, and then the lashes stick to the liner rather than me gluing it to my eye. That's just, I prefer them. They are expensive, so if you like glue on lashes, go for it. If you don't like them at all, that's fine. For today, I'm just gonna do a mascara look so that it is more accessible to everybody, but if you want help with lashes, please let me know. Okay, for our lashes, we need a couple of things, okay? I don't use an eyelash curler because my eyelashes are already quite long and curly, and also I get them lifted by Mel Jones. Love you, Mel. Okay, that is a good option to go and get a lash lift. It will help you with your lashes before a competition. Okay, if that's not your thing, an eyelash curler wouldn't be a bad idea. It gets a bit more length out of there. Now, mascara is a tricky little thing. If we don't do it right, it can look really blotchy and it can look like you've screwed up everything that you've just done on your eyes. And you've done a beautiful job on your eyes. We don't want to do that. Okay, so with our mascara, I use two different mascaras when I do mascara looks. I use a natural and then I use a lengthening. So my first one is my Act Natural. It's against Colourpop. It's just a natural one, so it won't do anything dramatic, but it will separate and it will darken just a little bit. So if I use this, okay, it's not a dramatic change, but they are darker and just a little bit thicker. Okay, so you can see the difference, especially if I turn this away and bring them up close. You can see what's going on there. Oop. Also why we don't do foundation straight away. Okay, coating each lash, making sure you're getting them all. Okay, So that's my natural mascara. Yeah, I'm gonna let that sit to dry and clean up the bit that I got on my underlay. Okay, so once your lashes are dry from your natural mascara, we're gonna use a more dramatic lash. So this is a lengthening and volumizing mascara. This is just the Tarte, you can't see that, Tarte Lights, Lights Camera Lashes. I bought this in a 7 for $70 ages ago, which they do a few times now, but what you're looking for is that lengthening and volumizing. Okay, so I will use that to get a bit more length and a bit more thickness. Okay, it is important to do your bottom lashes as well, otherwise we look like we've got half an eyeball. It's also important to try a bunch of different mascaras, because what works for me may not work for everybody. As I said, I've got long and curly lashes already and I get them lifted. If you have shorter lashes or you have very straight lashes, then you might need a more curl defining or a different lengthening one that will work better for your eyes. So if we have a look at my eyes here, they are pretty different, especially if I move this away and bring me up close again. Okay, so you can see we've got a bit more lift, there's a bit more thickness. I will do another coat of this as well, as compared to this eye that doesn't quite have as much drama to it. Okay, so we're up to our foundation. We've done our eyeshadow, we've done our mascara, we've got a few concealer spots that have fully dried down and our skincare is on. Now, our foundation. The colours that I've found work for the tan colour that Mel does are the, what's this, Maybelline Fit Me, and the 220 and the 235. They're the two that seem to work the best depending on your undertone. 220 works best for me because I'm quite pink, but 235 works better for your yellow undertones. It also depends on the actual colour tan that goes on your body. But they're a really good starting point. They end up pretty close to where we want. I'm obviously not that colour today, so we're not going to put those on. I'm going to put my normal foundation on. Okay, so my foundation, I have a brush. You can use a sponge or a brush or your hands, whatever you like. Okay, and you're just going to put that not directly on where you have concealer because it'll move it, but just get it all the way around your face, wherever you need it to go. And then you can start to spread it. Now again, we're not trying to move that concealer spot, so I am brushing, but when I get to that spot that I had concealer, I will tap. Okay, again, tapping where I've got the concealer, but drawing where I've got everywhere else. Okay, that's a concealer spot, so we'll tap and tap over that concealer spot, but then brushing everywhere else. Now again, this is my summer. This is not my summer, this is my winter colour. Obviously I'm a lot whiter when I haven't got a tan on. And it does look very light at the moment, but as it dries, it will darken a little bit, and that's because I know that's what this foundation does. So it's important to test your makeup before you wear it to a Physi competition, so you know what you're doing. Okay, so as this dries, you'll see it gets a little bit darker, and I'm also going to bronze my face to bring out certain features as I go. Okay, so once that's spread out where you want it, I take a sponge and go back over it. Again, personal choice. Play with it for a little while, wet your sponge, make sure it's soaking wet, and then give it a really good squeeze. Makes it spread out a little better. Now I use a sponge because I think that's how it looks better on my skin. You might find the complete opposite. Okay, so give it a tap. You can also do it just with a sponge. You don't have to start with a brush. You can do it just with your fingers, whatever works for you. Okay, sponges, you can get containers of them from Kmart for like $1. So go for it. Okay, and there's nothing special about the more expensive sponges. Trust me, I've tried them. They do not matter. It doesn't matter at all. Okay, so that's my foundation base. It's already gotten a little bit darker to match my face, and also that light brings out a whole bunch of different stuff. So if I get rid of this, you can see that's pretty well my colour and where it needs to be. Okay, my next step is to bronze and to sculpt. So for my younger girls, you will only need the bronzing step because this is very one-dimensional, so it makes you look washed out. For my ladies that like a little bit more structure, I will show you how to contour as well. For this step, you have two options. You can use a bronzing powder, or you can use a liquid, not a liquid, a stick bronzer. So my stick bronzer looks like this. I do both. I'm extra, okay, but I do both. So this is the color that I use during summer, during winter. It'll be a different color that I use for Physi, but for today, this is what I will use. So For those that like to be a bit more sculpt, I suggest using this. If you are just looking to give your face a bit more warmth, then just a bronzing powder will do just fine. I'm going to do this side with just the bronzing powder, and I'm going to do this side with both so that you can see the difference. Okay, so with my bronzing powder, it's very old, it's lasted forever. Just getting a brush. This is an angled brush. You don't need an angled brush. So long as it's fluffy, you're good to go. So you can use a blush brush, any sort of powder brush will work. Okay, so with my bronzing side, so my younger ones and people that don't like that contoured look, you're going to put it just in that line there. So you can see a line that goes from the top of your ear down to the bottom of your nose. That's kind of the line that we're following here. Okay, so we're just putting a little bit in there and blending it out. So you can see it's just a little bit of a shadow. It is much more defined on camera than it is in person, I promise. A little bit of a shadow, and you can blend it out. So when I'm going on stage, obviously we want it a little bit more dramatic, but on floor we will blend it out until you can't see quite such a definition. Okay, so already you can see, if I take a couple steps back, this side of my face, a little bit warmer, a little bit more structured. Doesn't look like I'm washed out. Okay, so my bronzing powder, I'll also take some and put it on my forehead. Now this is particularly good if you have a larger forehead, creating that shadow at the very top. And I will bring it down towards my temple. Okay, and that's just me changing my shape, face shape. It depends on what you like. Always suggest around this region, but sometimes you might put it on and realize you've gone too wide on the forehead or too wide on the cheek. Absolutely easy to fix. I'll show you how in a second. Okay, so that bronzing powder in my temple, on my cheek, and up on my forehead. So you can see there, like it's not a dramatic, where's my light? There it is. It's a change, but it's not quite as sculpted as what we can have. So switching to this side, I'm going to use my stick. Again, finding that line between your ear and your nose. I'm going to put a line here and a line here. Okay, yes, it looks dramatic, chill. Okay, and then we need a dense brush. So this is not as fluffy as the last one. It's quite a dense brush. Okay, that will help blend it without moving it. Okay, so you can see me diffusing that line. Okay, I'm not trying to move it about my face. If I need to, I can. So I want to give me just a little bit of a curve at the front of my cheekbone to define that out a little bit. But a little bit of a tap and then bring it up. Excess, whatever's left over on my brush, I'm bringing up onto my temple and then tapping out the one on my forehead. Okay. So I'm not brushing, I'm tapping up and down. It's quite cathartic, really. Okay, tapping, and I want a little bit of a curve, so I will move that, but otherwise I'm just tapping it to where I want to go. Okay, so that sort of look, it's a bit more chiseled, it's a bit more defined, as opposed to just the bronzer side that just warms the side of the face up. Depends on what you like, it depends on what you prefer, depends how you work. It's really up to you how you do this. Have a practice, have a bit of a go, and see what you like better. Now on this side, I will set it, because it's a cream, because it's a stick bronzer or a cream, I will set it with powder so that it doesn't move when I set. Okay, so same process to set it, just grabbing a little bit of bronzing powder, you won't need as much, and just brushing it directly over where you had that cream bronzer. Okay, doesn't have to be a lot. You can also do this with a translucent powder if you're feeling worried about how your face is gonna look. Okay, so I bring it back, you can see, now obviously this light's gonna be more dramatic, much more chiseled on this side as opposed to a lot warmer on this side, but not quite as structured. Okay, now I've brought that a little bit too far down on my face for what I like, so that's easy to fix. All I need to do is take my foundation brush from before and just kind of tap underneath that line to get that color back. Okay, so same here, it's a bit too low, so I can tap that in. Okay, so there's easy ways to fix everything that we like. Okay. Again, depending on what you look, they're two different looks. They absolutely look different, but depending on what you like, you can change it up for there. Okay, this is when I will put blush on. Again, two choices, liquid or not liquid, well you can use liquid. We have liquid, cream or powder. I don't have any liquids, I only have creams and powders. So I have a cream stick, which is exactly like my bronzer. I also have a cream blush in a pot. This one's not particularly bright, this is a very natural one, so this is an everyday one. This one's a little bit more dramatic, so I would use this for a competition. Now I have a lot of people that say, I turn red when I do my work, I don't need blush. I am also one of those people. If you've done your foundation properly, you still need blush. Okay, not a lot. Now I have a round face, so blush placement is really important for different face types. I have a round face, so if I bring the blush right down to here, it's going to make my face look rounder as opposed to a bit longer. So my blush sits up here, underneath my eye and above my bronzer. Okay, so you can see that pink spot right there. That's where my blush sits. If you have a longer face, you can bring it down towards the apples of your cheek a little bit more. That will round your face up. Depends on your face shape. Okay, so it's whatever you want it to look like when you're done. Again, we're just blending that out with that same sort of brush that we used for our bronzer. Okay, I have two of them, one's for blush. Please don't mix these, always have different, if you're using cream products for your bronzer and your blush, don't mix them, they don't blend well. Okay, so make sure you have two different brushes. The blush, we're doing the same thing, tapping up and down to move it where we want to go. Okay, if you've gone too hard, blend it more, it'll blend out. Okay, so we're going to tap it until it's diffused out. We just don't want to see the line anymore, that's the aim. We don't want to see a line, we want to see that beautiful colour spread out between what we're doing. Now you don't need red blush, you can do a rosy blush or a coral blush, depending on your leotard and depending on what colour your hair is and your skin tone is. It doesn't have to be pink, pink just works for me. Okay, so we have a look at that. That pink colour, it's not hugely vibrant. It's a lot more vibrant when I take that light away. So on a floor I would do less. Okay, so for now I'll blend it out a little bit harder. Okay, I also like to put a little bit, that didn't help you, I like to put a little bit across my nose as well, so it's just the excess, I don't put more on my nose. I just kind of tap on this and bring it to my nose, just to give me a little bit colour through the middle. Okay, so before we move on to our next step, I would set my blush with a powder as well. It's a bit vibrant at the moment, so I'm not going to set it with a powder blush, I'm going to set it with a powder instead. Okay, so I have translucent powder here. It doesn't matter what brand you have. This one's a Fenty Beauty. My delightful husband is lovely and bought it for me for Christmas. Okay, for these loose powders, you can get them as pressed powders as well, but for these loose powders, you only need a tiny little bit and just tap it onto your face wherever you need it to go. Okay, just tap it, set it down to do what it needs to do. Now, really important that when you start setting things with powders like I did, either you do all your creams and liquids first, or you just be very, very careful with your placement of your powders and your liquids. Because if I'm about to do it in concealer, which I am, I'm about to reconceal under my eyes. If I've got extra powder there that doesn't need to be there, it's going to end up looking cakey and it's going to start to crumble and get kind of gummy. And we don't want that. Okay? So our powder, very careful placement, or do all your liquids first and then you don't have to worry about it. Next step of concealer. So this is for my under eye girlies. So this isn't, if you get enough sleep at night and you don't have dark circles, this doesn't apply to you. Okay, but for people like me that don't sleep, this is a good step to lighten and brighten our face. So you only need a little bit, especially if it's super light like this one is. Just a little bit in your eye here and a little bit over here. And that's all you need, promise. Okay, don't start drawing massive triangles, you don't need that much. Okay, if you are worried, just get one that's a little bit lighter and that will help you out. Okay, using my blending brush again, I'm just going to tap that down. Okay, taking that right up into my under eye. Okay, so you can see that's lightening that space. And I'm going to tap this one out as well. Be careful as you're tapping this out that you're not going into your powdered blush or into your eyeshadow. So keep that very, very contained with whatever you're doing. Okay, you can tap it down to bring it underneath your eye so that you cover that space. You can bring it down here if you've got a nice big dark circle like I do right now. Okay, tapping it out. It is very light. This is a light concealer. When I am tan, I will not use this color. I'll use a darker one. Okay, as with our foundation, once you're done, just give it a quick go over with a sponge. It smooths it out a little bit better. Okay, so if you notice the way that I place that concealer, it draws my eye upwards this way. Free eye lift, you're welcome. Okay, it makes your eyes lift at the sides as opposed to dragging them down towards your ears or towards your lips. So that placement and dragging up towards your eyebrows makes you look a lot more awake and a lot more alive. Okay. Once you've done that, I suggest, if you're a sweater like me, I suggest setting it with your powder. So the same powder that I had before, I'm going to use a sponge this time. Just get a little bit on your sponge and you press that in under your eyes. Okay? It doesn't matter if there's a little bit too much, we're going to brush it off in a second anyway. Okay? But push it in into that concealer. What that will do is set it without making it cakey. Okay? Because this is meant to go on liquids, it's its job. Okay? Give it a push, push it down. So it'll push it into any creases that you have underneath your eyes, as we all do. If the powder's a little lighter, it will brighten under your eyes as well. But what that does is give you a nice smooth setting underneath your eyes that makes it look younger, more awake, all the good things. Now that whole concealer step, completely unnecessary if you get enough sleep at night or if you're super young and your skin is still beautiful. Okay, so if I move back a little bit, you can see that under eye area is super, super bright and it draws your attention and my eyes are going upwards. So it looks like I'm already smiling before I am. Okay, now's a good time to do a second round of my lengthening mascara. Okay, I got a little bit on my under eye area here. Let it dry. Don't touch it yet. If you touch it while it's still wet, it will smear. Let it dry, then brush it away. It'll chip off rather than smudge in. Okay, my last step before my lips is my highlighter. Because I have so much powder on my face, I'm going to do a powder highlighter. But before I do that, I'm going to set my face. This is one thing that I absolutely guarantee, if you're a sweater, will make your life a little bit easier. Okay, there's a lot of controversy around setting spray, whether it's necessary or not. For a sweater, absolutely, 100% necessary. What it does, it's like hairspray for your face. Okay, you don't need a lot, you don't need to drench it, but just a couple of sprays and you can feel it touching your skin, let it dry. I do that before my highlighter because then my highlighter sticks to it. Okay, I'm just using a really pretty gold highlighter, it's my Cinderella one. For this, you just need a fluffy brush, much like you did your eyeshadow. Okay, so this is my designated highlighter brush. Okay, will it focus? There you go. It's really fluffy, it's got a bit of an angle to it. Looks like a wand, it's a good time. Okay, so just a little bit of highlighter. Make sure you're watching where the light picks up on your face because that's where you want to put it, right where that light hits. Okay, and you can see just that little bit of glitter. Now, if you don't like glitter, you can get shimmer style, which are more metallic. But I wouldn't suggest skipping this step, okay? Because when you do this step, it draws the shine on your face to where you actually want it, as opposed to what happens when you sweat, which is getting shiny everywhere. Okay, so it draws the attention away from any shiny spots or any redness that you didn't intend to happen. So a little bit just on top of your blush, near your eyes. I like to do some at the top of my arch. That's a me choice, you don't have to do that. I also like a little bit just on the very end of my nose and on the top of my lip. Okay. We're shiny, we're beautiful, we love it. Okay, after this I would do another round of setting spray before I do my lip. Okay, make sure you get a setting spray that you like the smell of. Okay, so this is pretty much my finished look. All I then would choose is a lipstick that matches or complements my leotard. So because I'm wearing pink this weekend, I will have a pink lip. If I'm wearing a blue or a green or a black, I would wear red. If I was wearing orange or purple, I would wear a pink. Okay, so it does depend on what color you're wearing to what lip you put on face. Please do not go for a very nude looking lipstick. I know that's where we're comfortable and I know that's what we like, but on the floor, if you've got this done and then no lip, it just doesn't look finished. Okay, so really important that we choose a lip color that works with our leotard and is brighter than what you would usually wear if you are one of those people that don't wear lipstick often, which there's a lot of us, let's be real. So for my leotard, I wear something like this. I don't know if you can see it. Where are we? So it's more of a pinky kind of purple. It's not a bright pink because I'm not a pink girl. In terms of lips, I'm more of a purple. So I would put that, I always start on my bottom lip. And then push it up onto my top. Okay, so it's not overly pink, it's more purple and it's a little bit darker. That's my style of lipstick. If you want to go brighter, please go brighter. That's my lipstick. I also have this, this was given to me by a friend. It's a lip topper. So it's like a lip gloss that goes on the top. If you like lip gloss, please put it over top. But I like this because it's shiny. Okay, so it's a nice little gold topper. Okay, I don't use this all the time. It does depend on the leotard that I'm wearing. But just a touch of that as we spread it. Gives me a nice little glitter moment on my lips. Okay, it's not hugely gold, it's just a very subtle twinge. Okay, so that's the finished vibe. This is what I tend to wear. This is my stage level version, probably a little lighter than my stage level version. And then when we bring the light down, it is a little bit more dramatic, but the further away I go, the more natural it looks. And that's what you've got to remember. You're not here to the judges. They can't see this, as fun as that is. Okay, well, they can't see this. What they see is at least this. Okay, so if you can take a step back and have a look and go, oh yeah, I can see my cheekbones, I can see my eyes, I can see my nose, I can see my lips. You've got it, you've nailed it. Okay? Give it a go. It's not easy. It's also not the first thing that people think about. As I said, my mascara underneath my eye has dried now, so I'm taking just, it's filthy, but a cotton round and just brushing that out of the way. It's gone, it's not smudged, it's lovely. Okay, if you have any questions, please talk to me, I'll help you out. But yeah, give it a go, see what you can come up with.